Sing as good as Tanya, but I'll do my best.
Yeah,
Tanya.
she's really beautiful.
Tanya, were you in a choir in church? Or what?
Not in the church, Guru Maharaj.
Where? Somewhere else?
Yes, yes. I had my share of choir practice.
This harmonium has many problems. Oh, morning. Maybe I should get a harmonium that actually works. Some devotees now, they have little keyboards, like electric, battery operated, they have little harmoniums sounds. Out of tune. There's two reeds and they're out of tune. Or maybe both reeds are out of tune. No, two reeds one's out of tune from the other. There's a devotee in Mayapur where he teaches music. And when somebody sings flat, he calls it dead batteries. Like you have a musical instrument, like a keyboard that runs on batteries and the batteries go dead. So this is dead batteries. Anyway, Krishna doesn't hear. Shodhanandana, Rajachanaranjana, Shodhanandana, Rajachanaranjana, Jamanatira Vanachari, Jamanatira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Maharhava. Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Janarava Girivaradha Dari Gopi Janarava Girivaradha Shodhanandana Rajachanaranjana Shodhanandana Rajachanaranjana Yamanatira Vanachari Yamanatira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Sham Radhe Radhe, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. We are continuing now to finish the 10th chapter of the second canto. What verse do we leave off on?
We should start with 7:10:33.
So we only did 4 verses last time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Seven 10:33. Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees. Let's do this right. Don't go anywhere. It's not right. Tata kavyadhivi shardhan munivi kamalashanaha Tatyanam danavan cha Tatyanam danavanam cha Praradham akaropatim. Translation. Thereafter, along with Sukracharya and other great saints, Lord Brahma, whose seat is on the lotus flower, made Prahlad the king of all the demons of the universe. I think we talked about this before. We talked about 2 things. One, that Krishna will sometimes give you what you don't really want because he wants it for you. And sometimes he'll give you a position of service and he will provide for you what you need to do that service. And it has been said, detachment works in 2 ways. One way, Krishna takes things from you. He doesn't want you to have a lot. And that will be the best thing for you and often the best thing for your service. But sometimes he gives you a lot because either he wants to give it to you so you can do your service better, so your life is not too difficult, or he needs to give you all kinds of facility because you can use that for your service. So both facility and personal needs. He will give. And you would be, if Krishna gives it and it can be used in his service, then to not take it would not be renunciation, but actual renunciation would be to take it. Because sometimes renunciation means to take something that maybe it's above what you feel you need, but or above what you'd like to use, but Krishna gives it. So we can live in a hut, we can live in a palace. We can manage a few devotees and a few dollars, or a few thousand, million, quadrillion, and a few zillion dollars. It depends. But that would, whatever Krishna gives, we take that. And if Krishna is offering facility, then we don't want to renounce it. So that's what we see happening here, basically. Now, in the purport, Prabhupada says something interesting. It was not Prahlad's desire to have this facility. It wasn't his desire to rule a kingdom. And listen to what Prabhupada says. By the grace of Lord Narsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj became a greater king than his father, Hiranyakashipu. Isn't that interesting? Hiranyakashipu is trying to be the greatest king. Prahlad's trying to be just a devotee and help his father. And he ends up becoming a greater king than his father, more powerful than his father. You want to hear a funny story? So my wife and I, we used to live in India. And when we would come back from India for the summer, we would buy things in India and sell them in America. And that gave us the money to live in America and live in India. And then we stopped living in India, and we didn't really have any other way of making income. So she would go to India and buy things. And then one devotee said, well, you can buy things here in America. So we started doing that. And we were both teaching at the VIHE before we moved back to America. And so we had to do something to make money because we needed more money than we needed in India. So we were importing things and jewelry and selling them in malls and shows, and we went from Brahmins to Vaishyas in a matter of a few months. So I have really no attraction for business. It's like Prabhupada said, if you like to cook, you like to eat. And so good business people like to make money, obviously. And I wasn't that interested in money. So I didn't have if I didn't have a lot of money, I was okay. So it wasn't a strong impetus to business. So I didn't really like it. But we developed it because it pays the bills. And, it was supposed to be temporary just till we figured out a better way to make money. But we didn't really figure out a better way. And then about I'll tell you exactly, 17 years ago, around this time, I fell over and cracked my hip. So I don't think I could walk for 2 months. So that's when I started having time to develop my seminars. So I started doing that while we had the business. And slowly, I'd give a seminar here or there. I started writing newsletters. Everything was slow. That book, Living the Wisdom of Bhakti, all started about maybe 15, 16 years ago. I decided to create newsletters for all the devotees I was teaching. So it started slowly. with the forgiveness workshop and then the japa workshop. But it was part-time, just occasionally. So I had this one devotee, God brother, he's the one in charge of Dandavats. And he goes through things I write, and I don't have to send it to Dandavats. If he likes it, he just posts it. And he's doing that with my videos now, but in those days, he was reading my articles, so he knew how I was preaching, and he liked it. And he said, "You should do more of this." He said something like, "You should just be doing this full time," which is what I wanted to do. And I was doing a show. We were selling jewelry at this time. I was doing a show. It was at a beach in New Jersey, and you have tents and you have tables, and it's like a festival, and people come shopping. So there was a storm, and it's getting windier and windier, and if it gets really windy, you have to hold your tent down, and it could rain on everything and rain on all your products. So it was starting to get windy, and I was kind of holding it, and people were packing up. And this devotee called me, and he said, I think you should just devote your full time to preaching, and Krishna will take care of you. And I'm talking, and and I knew that, but it was a matter of making that leap. And while he's talking to me, I'm holding down a tent that's ready to blow away, selling some costume jewelry, so women can, look sexy. It was, it was just like a total paradox to what I should be doing. And it was like, it's like someone shot an arrow in my heart. It's like, like rub it in. Yeah, rub it in. You should be preaching. Krishna will provide you anything. Yeah, rub it in. I'm holding a tent, trying to make a few dollars to pay the bills. So I remembered that on Friday night after the Vyas Puja, because I was walking out after the ceremony about 9:30 at night, and I remember that incident. He said, "You should preach. Krishna will give you everything." So I was remembering that story. Yeah. So that's kind of like the story of my life. Because at one point I had to just say, "Okay, Krishna, this is what I'm going to do. So if you want me to do it, I guess you'll provide for me. Otherwise, I can't do it." So somehow or other, I'm still eating my rice dal and chapatis. And I got a lot of good microphones also. And yeah, whatever I need. I have actually too much of it. I have a extra computer. I was trying to sell it. Nobody would buy it. So I have even more than I need now. So that's something interesting, how you may not be aspiring for something, but if Krishna wants you to do it, then he can make those arrangements that you'll do it. Like Prabhupada said, that Krishna told him, he said, just sit down and write these books. I'll take care of everything. And Prabhupada said, Rupa Goswami told him the same thing. Go to the West, we'll take care of everything. So we see how Prabhupada was taken care of, right? So, and here we see Prahlad Maharaj. You saw that with Dhruva. Vamanadev becomes his doorkeeper, serves him, and many examples. So these stories are supposed to build faith that Krishna can take better care of me than I can take care of myself. That's the idea. Doesn't mean we should be foolish, sleep under a lamppost until Krishna provides a house. I mean, you have to make some effort, but you understand the principle. Actually, if you're very advanced, that would be your principle. We heard the story of Srivas Thakur. Mahaprabhu said, "How do you earn a living for your family?" He said, "I just depend on Krishna." And we have a vow, we just do seva, we depend on Krishna. And we have a vow, if Krishna doesn't feed us, like, I forget what the vow was, but something like, if we don't get any food for 3 days, we go on the Ganga and drown ourselves. Or if the whole day goes by, we don't get any food, that means Krishna is not taking care of us, and we'll go drown ourselves. And he said, well, I'm still alive, so that means Krishna is taking care of us. So, that's a very elevated devotee can have that kind of faith. But I like this story with Prahlad. Now he's the greatest, most powerful king inheriting his father's kingdom. It was not his intention. It was Krishna's intention. You know that saying, Mare Krishna Rake Ke Rake Krishna Mare. If Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. If Krishna wants to save you, no one can kill you. If Krishna wants you to be poor, no one can make you rich. I'm adding to this verse. It's the same idea. If Krishna wants you to be poor, no one can make you rich. If Krishna wants you to be rich, nobody can make you poor. If Krishna wants you to be successful, nobody can make you fail. If Krishna wants you to fail, nobody can make you successful. So Krishna has different desires for different devotees. And he wants them to do certain things, and he facilitates that so that they can do those things. And sometimes you may be trying to do some service, succeed at something, and Krishna may think, no, I don't want you to do that. I want you to succeed at something else. So he'll always make that something else successful, and that other thing, it's never successful. But you take that as an indication. Maybe he doesn't want me to do that. You have that experience? Like sometimes you do something, it's really easy and everything falls into place practically. You just wake up in the morning and it's all there. And other things you try, and it's like there's somebody in your life who's always messing it up and you can't see them. So sometimes that's Krishna. Sometimes that's Krishna directing you in a particular way to do a particular service that he wants, that he feels that you can do, you're qualified to do. He'll inspire you, direct you, facilitate you. Or sometimes not necessarily inspire so much as facilitate, and then you understand. He's facilitating, so I should go in this direction. At least personally, I think that way a lot when I look at what I can do and what comes easy and what becomes difficult and what's hard. Sometimes we have to do something, but it's hard and it takes like half an hour and it's been like 3 years and we still haven't done it. You have that experience? It's like, it only takes a half hour. Yeah, okay, I'll get to it. And months go by because it's so hard for us, even though, like for you, it may be simple. For me, it may be difficult, and then I don't do it. And you're thinking, why doesn't he do it? It's so simple. So that's also an indication sometimes. It may not be the only reason, but sometimes when we don't do it, maybe we should just write it off our to-do list. Maybe it's not for us. Maybe it's just that's not our service. We're not good at it. There may be practicalities and we need to do it. But generally, the devotee should see where their skills are, what comes easy to them. Because generally, that's what you will do the best. That's what you'll do well. And it'll be easy for you to do, and you'll get a lot of success. And I always give the example to see that like money, like how much money do you have? If you have a lot of money and you think, well, we'll just keep it in the bank, we won't spend it. That would be a misuse, especially with interest rates the way they are so low. That would be a misuse of the money. So you can think of your skills as money or different bank accounts. In the writing department, I have millions of dollars. In the art department, I have 3 cents. It's just me personally. I don't want to brag about millions of dollars in the writing department. I don't have millions in the writing, but I have more money in the writing department than I have in the art department. I have more money in the teaching department than I have in the management department. I have a lot more money in the teaching department than I have in the accounting department. Accounting gives me a headache. I mean, it's nice to have money, but putting all the numbers in columns for me, that's kind of boring. It has to be done. Someone has to do it. And I would often do it. I had a business, I had to do it. But I'm sure it took me 3 times longer and I made 3 times more mistakes than someone who's good at accounting. Do you ever try to do something and it's like you keep trying and it's simple, but it's always like a mistake? or you're trying to write something, you're not a writer, and every time you write it, edit it, it gets like 3 times worse. Those are signs that maybe I shouldn't do that, right? You lead curious. You ever notice sometimes someone leads kirtan, by the end of the kirtan, there's nobody in the temple. If that's you, maybe you get the message. Maybe singing was not your gift, right? Maybe howling is your gift. You can keep away the demons and howl. Be the security guard and just howl. But so, as I was saying, there are exceptions that your spiritual master or temple president or some authority may need you to do something, need you to cook, but I can't cook. I don't know how to cook. Well, you're only the Brahmin, you're the last Brahmin in the temple who's not off the altar. And the main reason you're not off the altar is because you're a man. So you have to cook. It's like, all right, I'll cook. Krishna, forgive me, I have to cook. But you may not want to make it your profession because you're such a bad cook, you figured out how to burn water. Only you could do that. So sometimes it's like that, isn't it? Like you do something simple and no one in the universe has ever messed it up, but you messed it up. And nobody can, how could you burn? How's the pot is burned and it's full of water? How did you do that? It's like only you could do it. So the Krishna shows us these things. Yeah, that's not my seva, right? But something else, and something else you do, and devotees say, "Well, you do that so well, and you don't think you do it well because it's easy for you. So because you've always done it well, so relatively it just seems to you normal. Oh, I'm good at that. I just thought I was normal." So that's the way we understand how we should serve. It's inspiring. We're good at it. We were talking yesterday, and a lot of devotees feel this way. We have our god brother Havi, who was such an incredible musician, and he did a recording in my studio, playing piano and singing. And I wanted to get some opinion of devotees. I said, "How do you like this?" They said, "Oh, we like it. It was beautiful. Would you like him to do more?" He said, "Oh yeah, we'd like him to do more." So he is rich musically, he's a billionaire musically. So to have $1 billion and not give in charity, right? That's a crime. So you all have millions or billions in some aspect of your life. To not give it is a crime, right? So then we were talking about this problem. Then, someone says, but I like music. So because I like it, I shouldn't do it because then it'll be sense gratification or selfish. But what we have learned, philosophically, you could make that point. You should be surrendered to whatever guru wants, which is, of course, true. But what we've learned is what you like to do, what you do naturally, what your nature is, even if you say, I don't want to do it because I like it and maybe it'll be Maya, eventually, generally, you end up doing it or something close to it, right? Maybe you like to dance, you like to act, you like to sing. Eventually you will gravitate either as a hobby or a profession to do those things, even if you say, I don't want to do it, it's Maya. So that's something to consider. Not everybody. Some devotees have totally given up. They had more important service for Prabhupada, and they understood that they had many talents and they had to choose. And they chose the talent that they thought could best serve Prabhupada. So that's when selfishness comes in. You've got lots of talents and you have to choose one or two. So we were talking yesterday that if you have a talent and you don't use it for Krishna, don't think, well, I don't want to do it because I like it. It'll be selfish. But think, because I have the talent, I could use this well for Krishna, obviously, right? The better you are at something, in theory, the better you could use that in service. The more successful you could be in your outreach by doing that. If that, whatever that is useful in the service of Krishna, which most of those that's are, whatever it may be. And so I have a talent. I like to do it. I do it well. Then I just have to connect the dots. What would be the best way to do this for Krishna? Right? Why not? I don't know how I got on that tangent. I lost my train of thought. But anyway, it's an important point. So don't ever be afraid to do what you do well. Rather, whatever you do well and you like to do and you're inspired to do, and you see that it's helping other devotees and people in general, that's the real indication. I do this well and it's helping people. There's no reason not to do it other than if I do it, I'll fall into total maya, something like that. Okay, if it's going to destroy your bhakti, yeah, don't do it. But if that's not the case, then definitely do it and you'll be inspired. And then even though you like to do it, you do it to please Krishna. The fact that you like to do it makes it easy to do, right? Make a list of all those things you really don't do well. And you'll see those are all the things you procrastinated on doing, generally. I wash dishes well, but I procrastinate. So there are certain categories that are just tedious. But you understand what I'm saying. Ever procrastinate on making your bed when you get up in the morning? I'll make it later. That's a different category. That's in the category of being lazy. Okay. You have any lazy devotees today in class? Okay, raise your hand if you made your bed this morning. Yeah, okay. If you don't make your bed when you wake up, you're not a Brahmin. Of course, I'm looking at everybody here. We only have one initiated Brahmin anyway, or maybe two. So you're all totally qualified as not being Brahmins. Forget Bhakti Shastri. Forget wanting to do deity worship. Just make your bed as soon as you wake up, and then I'll give you a Brahmin initiation. And clean your room, clean your car. Then you can be a Brahmin. Yeah. Okay, we have some comments on this topic. I think I'll take the comments so we stay focused on the topic. Sometimes when I wait to the end, then I lose track. Okay, Krishna Prabhu says, I did not know that. Now, let's take a vote on what that is. A, that is, I have no idea what you didn't know. Don't expect me to remember what I said 10 minutes ago. That's like asking a lot from me. Krishna Premi, can you just unmute and tell me, or you can tell me what that is? What you didn't know?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, it was about you and your wife selling jewelry from India and all of that.
I told a story once. It was kind of an interesting story about dharma. Yeah, I'll tell this story because some of you have heard it, but I think it fits in well now. So, I dropped out of university. My wife dropped out of university. So, and we have a little entrepreneurial nature, but not so much. So if you don't have a strong entrepreneurial nature, it's not easy to make money, but you have to do something. So it's either you're going to work for somebody or you're going to start your own company, and either that company will be products or services, and it could be both. So for us, as I said, because we lived in India, there were so many things in India that young people liked. We sold like 20, 30 varieties of tulsi beads and incense and bindis and ankle bracelets and little things made, artsy things made in India. And they were very inexpensive in India. So it was quite profitable in that way. But then it wasn't practical to go back to India. So we found stores, we found wholesalers in America who will wholesale jewelry that's made in, of all places, you'll never guess where it was made, but it starts with a C and ends with an A. That's a hint. You're right, it was made in China. Who would have guessed? And all the wholesalers were Korean. And they'd have these big wholesale markets where every jewelry wholesaler below Brahmaloka and above Patalaloka came to Las Vegas and had their jewelry there. And then you would order. You had to own your business. And then you would order like by the dozen. Anything you buy a dozen or more. And it was like the Kumbh Mela of Vaishyas, like all these business people with all these products from China, not just jewelry. It was like the latest this and the latest that, electric bicycles and skateboards electric skateboards and, all the latest things that people would sell. You open stores, like they're hot items. They sell for like 6 months. You open your store for 6 months, you become a millionaire and close the store. Something like that. So I had an Arjuna moment. It took like 3 days. It was so big. It took 3 days to see every booth. Could you imagine? And I'm just there alone in Las Vegas. And, I was living in Vrindavan a few years before this, teaching at the VIHE. So this is quite a drastic change. And as I said, not really inspired to do business. It was just we had to do something. And not that my preaching stopped, but it was curtailed a lot. And this was the main thing I was doing. So I was walking around and I was seeing how the people who own these wholesale companies, they're like really into business. They have hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory. Most of them have their offices in Manhattan. They're ordering hundreds of thousands. They have manufacturing plants in China. They have college graduate artists, designers designing jewelry. They go to jewelry shows. They just copy designs. It's like a big thing. And when you are in your element, you're inspired, right? It's like if you're an artist and you go to like an art exhibition of, different artists, it's very inspiring. They have these shows, they're called NAMM, where all the companies that the music companies that produce keyboards, guitars, microphones, recording equipment, all that, they all show their new products every year. And so if you're either a wholesaler or a studio owner or musician, you like to go there and that's your element. You're in your element, whatever it is, tennis show, golf show, surf show. I once went to an online, it was all about online learning. And they had workshops and talked to people who are experts in the field, who do online learning, who create software. So this was the Vaishya Kumbh Mela in Las Vegas. Or was it the Magh Mela? I think the Magh Mela is the one every 12 years, isn't it? This is actually Kumbh Mela. They do it every year. And they're all really, they're just into it. New products, selling, making money, new designs, just the hot item for this season, it's just all Vaishya talk. And I'm walking through there and I sat down and I said, I'm out of my element. I can't relate to this at all. This is the most uninspiring place I could ever be. And I just sat down. I didn't cry, but I was crying inside. I mean, I couldn't stop what I was doing because we owned a home, had to pay for it. But I was on the chariot and I threw down my bow and arrow and I said, Krishna, I can't do this. Anyway, somehow or other, we did it. And then 2008 came and the economy crashed. So we couldn't really make the business work anymore. It was that running at about, every year after 2008, every business was going down 10%. You can only go down 10% for so long before you don't have a business. But at one point, I said to myself, I said, I can't do this. This is not what I should be doing. And I made a determination to get out of it. And then, gradually Krishna helped. So from that experience, you can see why I tell people when you're going to choose an occupation and choose a service, it should be within your element. And there's nothing wrong with making money and doing business. It's wrong for me. It doesn't inspire me. I like doing prasadam business, actually. I've done that. I've arranged all kinds of prasadam sales, mostly with Sankirtan, and I loved it. It's prasadam. But if it's something that's not your nature, you won't do it well, that's for sure. You ever notice how people have good karma are good at making money? Duh. That's part of their karma. How do you get rich if you don't know how to attract money? Because they have this karma, they're going to be wealthy. They just have a brain and a nature that attract. They write one song, it makes $10 million for them, or, do one YouTube video, they become famous. Everybody buys their book. So do what you do well, do what inspires you. If you don't do something well, there's nothing wrong with you. That's just the way everybody is made. We all do something well, I'll do something not so well. Be in your element, contribute from your element and then use that to spread Krishna consciousness. And it's quite simple, don't you think? So I told the devotee yesterday, she said, I don't know what my dharma is. I said, okay. It's very easy to find out. Would you like to find out what your dharma is? This is meant for devotees to find out their dharma. Dharma. What is your dharma? Dharma, not dharma, dharma, dharma. He said, imagine you're not a devotee. So there are no longer I should or I shouldn't, and if I do this, I'm selfish, and what does my guru want, and what does he doesn't. I mean, not saying those things are bad, but they do get in the way sometimes of the clear thinking. So there's no shoulds. It's just, okay, you're not a devotee, and you're thinking, well, what's your element? It's easy. You know it, right? Because there's no shoulds, what ifs, but what my guru doesn't like it, but this verse, I don't know, maybe I should do that, And then we get mental, right? The word mental was particularly designed to describe devotees. Although we should tell Webster's dictionary, this word describes, it's a synonym for bhakta, mental. What do you think, Gaurapriya? You agree? You become a devotee, it's like there's so many things you would not be mental about until you become a devotee. I don't know, should I? Is that, it's not Krishna, it's selfish. I like to do it, but because I like to do it, it could be Maya. I don't know, maybe I should do something that I actually hate to do because that'll be purifying. And then we'll just, and after all that, I got to take a nap, I'm exhausted, right? Did you ever go through that one? Your mind is going, you exhaust yourself on the mental platform. So, but it's an interesting exercise because you realize if you didn't have all of that, and I just ask you, well, okay, you're not, for the next 3 minutes, you're not a devotee, so what would you do? It's like, oh, I would do this. Okay, so now do that for Krishna. What's the problem? Right? 3 minutes to find your life mission, If you could do anything and you weren't a devotee, well, I would do this. Okay, you're a devotee again. Figure out how to do it for Krishna. Sounds simple? You know why it sounds simple? Because it is simple. If it weren't simple, it wouldn't sound simple. Right? So sometimes devotees get a little mental, which can be good because we're trying to do the right thing. But my point is, once you realize what your element is, then at that point you apply it in the right way. Because what your element is not the right thing or the wrong thing, according to Bhakti. It's how you apply it. Okay, my element is music. Okay, great. I'm going to start a heavy metal band. Maybe that's not the best thing for your Krishna consciousness. Maybe there's a different kind of music you could do. So then it's applying it. The specifics, don't worry about the specifics now. Just worry about the element. Right? What do you like to do? What are you good at? What could you do all day? What do you like to do? What are you good at? What could you do all day? Those three questions. And for the next 3 minutes, you're not a devotee. And when you figure it out, put your devotee hat back on. And now think, how can I use it for Krishna? Pretty simple. Isn't it? There may be other things that get in the way of coming up with those conclusions, like, well, if I do that, what are other people going to think? Does it matter what other people think? Doesn't it matter what you think? Isn't that more important than what other people think? I think so. I mean, of course, if you're offending devotees, it does matter what devotees think, but we're talking in general, like, what is society going to think if I do that? They're going to think I'm a loser. I joined the Peace Corps, loser. You could have been the best lawyer in New York City, joined the Peace Corps. What's wrong with you? You know, the saying, with friends like that, who needs enemies? So, you know, that has to be on your list. Don't worry. You know, you're just trying to come up with an idea first. It's not like your whole life is destined to go that way. It's just a thinking process. Okay, right. We have Nadia says, or is this you, Nadia, or someone on Facebook?
This is me.
It's you. There she is, live and in color. Straight from Sridham Mayapur, Nadia Mani Devirasi. Her question: in the Catolica, that's Spanish for Catholic, tradition, when people confess there's a sin called, I didn't use my talents given to me by the Lord. No kidding. I never heard that. In his service and in the service of others. Okay, Nadia, your lifelong service is to find the verse in the Vedas that says the same thing, because if we could find it, I mean, you could indirectly find it, you know, offer your money, your intelligence, your mind, you know, all these things to Krishna. Yeah, okay. No, I think we could support that in our Shastra. You have something, you're not using it for Krishna. You're stealing from Krishna. You're keeping it. What are you going to, you're a musician and you don't want to do music for Krishna. What are you going to do with that musical talent? You know, stay up late at night and play music for your own gratification when nobody's looking. Yeah, that's probably what you'll do, right? So therefore it will be a sin. I like that. So it is a sin if you don't use your talents in the Lord's service. Well, that's the name of the class today. Prabhu, you are so sinful. Why? What did I do? You could do this and you're not doing it, you sinful rascal. You will take birth on the planet where no one used their talents for Krishna. They all decided, whatever I'm not good at, that's what I will do. Austerity. Don't want to do anything I like. Okay. Krishna Premi says, from my personal experience, Krishna eventually rearranges what we love doing so it fits our devotional path better. Better. If you're in Australia, it's better. So we are still occupied with our hobbies, but the goal and the way we do it changes. Exactly. That's what I said. You know, that's like the principle is nothing is bad. Only we can make it. Well, not nothing is bad. It's bad. But, you know, most things are neutral until we touch them. So, you know, you think, well, it's bad if I do this. It depends how you do it. It's bad if I do that. It depends how you do it. So most things are just neutral until you touch them. So you don't have to be afraid of it. Oh, so Gaurapriya is giving us the Siddhanta on making beds. The reason she doesn't make the beds is the bed must be ventilated for a long time before making it to prevent the appearance of mites. Oh, okay. So if you have mites, you don't have to make your bed, but you've got to you have to sit in your room with an unmade bed. Okay, so what you do in that case, is you take off the blankets and you fold them up and you put them on the shelf. How about that, Gurupri? Instead of just throwing them on the floor. Hare Krishna. We have someone in the office who's also on the Zoom call simultaneously. It's an altered reality. Kamalakshmi, I thought I was lazy, but apparently it's just ADHD. Now, instead of tons of negative self-talk, it's self-compassion, understanding, and problem solving. Yeah. You know, Kamalakshmi Radhika, there's another thing. I don't know if you heard this, but I mean, there are some people who are lazy, but most people are not lazy. They're just not inspired. And so when you're not inspired, you get lazy. And you can prove this. If you think about something that inspires you, then notice how you feel. And then think about something you hate to do and notice how you feel. You will notice by thinking about what you like to do, you're more energized. And by thinking about what you don't like to do, you get sleepy or tired or bored. Like immediately, there's just an energy shift. So sometimes that energy shift is because there's things we have to do that we're not inspired to do. And so we think we're lazy. But often it's just, there's a lack of inspiration. So all you people who thought you were lazy, you probably aren't. You probably just aren't inspired to do a particular thing. Because when you're inspired, what happens? Energía, mucho energía. Energía. Tengo mucho energía por mi servicio que me gusta. Pero cuando no me gusta mi servicio, soy un flojo. That means if I like my service, I have a lot of energy. If I don't, I become a lazy bum. Soy un flojo. Nanasham says, what you did here in 2019 was titled Discovering Your Dharma. Yeah. We did that in Vrindavan also years ago. It's important. I have to tell you something. I think I may have told some devotees, but well, I mentioned yesterday you weren't in the class, I don't think. We did a class for Lithuania. Krishna Premi was installing the deities. She was so excited. I don't know if she remembers I said this, but what I was saying was by listening in our Vyas Puja, we had the disciples describing their service. And by listening to everyone describe their service, one thing which I already knew, it just reminded me and became more evident. The more stability you have materially, the more successful your service will be. I mean, you maybe have the potential to be successful, but if you have instability in your material life, you won't be as successful as if you have stability in emotional stability, existential stability around you, living stability, relationship stability, ashram stability, varna stability, all these things. So when somebody discovers their dharma, it creates a stability. Oh, this is what I want to do. They said that you don't have to be mental. You're not mental. What should I do? Which I don't know. Try that, try this. Should I do this? Should I do that? We all go through that to some degree, but you don't want to perpetually go through it. So when you're connected with your dharma, it's stability. You're connected with your ashram, it's stability. Right? So it's very important. So I was reflecting on it, that it's I have so much experience with this. I'll just tell you what my experience is. It would be interesting, but maybe you understand it already. A lot of times devotees will say, we'll work out some service, and then we have what they're going to do. It should take a few weeks, let's say, in this example. Then I don't hear from them for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 4 weeks, for 5 weeks, for 6 weeks. It doesn't take that long to do it. And there's only 2 reasons that I've seen that happens. Well, maybe 3. One, they got sick or some disaster in their life. 2, they didn't have time. Maybe they overcommitted. But one common one, personal problems, which is usually the most common one. Like, why didn't you do it? It's going through this, going through that. That's why they didn't do it. So it just underscores my point. When people have struggles in their life, it affects their service so much that even sometimes these people have time to do the service. They actually all have time to do it, but they don't do it. They're just unstable internally. So it really affects their ability to do service. Right, Gaurapriya? You agree? It's like trying to dance on a ship in the sea that's going from side to side. You ever feel your life is like that ship in a stormy ocean? It's hard to all you can do is just hold on. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything, just holding on. Oh, Nandarani had made a comment. We are each free to choose the course of our life. We can either dedicate our body, mind, and words, talents, and wealth to the glory of God, or else we can ignore him and struggle instead for our personal happiness. The second path leads to a life of slavery to sex and ambition, which the soul never feels real satisfaction when instead suffers continually. Where's that from? You wrote that, or it's from somewhere else?
It's from 1087 from purport.
Oh, it's from the purport. Vaishnavas are distressed to see materialists suffering in this way, so they always strive to enlighten them. Oh, that's Bhagavatam.
Yes.
10:87:34. Let's read it again. We're each free to choose the course of our life. We can either dedicate our body, mind, and words, talents, and wealth to the glory of God, or else we can ignore him, struggle instead for our own personal happiness. The second path leads to a life of slavery to sex and ambition, in which the soul never feels real satisfaction, but instead suffers continually. Vaishnavas are distressed to see materialists suffering in this way, and so they always strive to enlighten them. If we're struggling in that way, then we're not going to be able to help them. Thank you. Good quote. Shalini says, I suppose also that's why Varna is defined by qualification and karma, not defined by birth. Yeah. Yeah, because kids don't always have the same nature, especially in Kali Yuga, because there's no garbhodhan samskara. So, but Kali Yuga is just messed up. That's one of the challenges of interpreting Shastra, especially certain instructions in Shastra that are easy to understand and apply in a society that's not messed up or not mixed up. I think mixed up is the better word. Kali Yuga, things are mixed up, really mixed up. So you read in Shastra, it's supposed to be like this. You look out your window and go, it's not like that now. Many ways it's the opposite, or it's a little bit like that, but not entirely. Some things will never change. That's for sure. But socially, culturally, and things change, and Kali Yuga degrades itself. And so some things in Shastra, there's a bit conflated in Kali Yuga. So you can have, you have these amazing people joining ISKCON. Their parents aren't devotees. You have children of devotees who leave Krishna consciousness. Like, that doesn't make sense. That's not what the Shastra says happens, right? So Nadia is making confession as a good Catholic. I hate my job of, okay, I'm going to do this dramatically, Nadia. Like it was we're doing a documentary. And you go, I hate my job of a teacher of English. I fall asleep during my classes. In my sleep, I start talking about Krishna right in the middle of class. And when I wake up, I have to say something like, oh, sorry, I just looked at the wrong page. Hare Krishna. You know what's interesting? If you hate your job and somebody just says your job, you'll start yawning. Have you seen that or experienced that? I saw that with Sankirtan. Some devotees hated Sankirtan so much. If you said Sankirtan, they'd immediately start yawning and look for the nearest closet to hide in so that the Sankirtan leader couldn't find them. It's time for Sankirtan! Yeah. Put you right to sleep, cure for insomnia. If japa doesn't work, try Bhagavatam. That doesn't work, try saying the word Sankirtan. That doesn't work, go out on Sankirtan. That ought to wake you up. Okay, we have more from Mayaresh. You remember Mayaresh from Mayapur, those who were there? Which is none of you. None of you were there. So you don't remember him. Okay. Can we pray for being good and the material talents so that we can directly or indirectly serve Krishna and his devotees? Yes. Or praying for devotion alone can give us everything. As the scriptures describe devotion to Krishna as a desire tree which fulfills all our wishes. No, we definitely can pray to Krishna. Please empower me to do this service. Please help me. Because it's all in the mood of service, right? Correct? So you can always pray for anything that's going to help your service. In fact, we should pray for intelligence and empowerment and guidance. It is possible to do service and completely mess it up, even though you chant good rounds. Because we may not be experienced, knowledgeable, so we pray, I mean, part of that also is to become qualified to do the service, because sometimes you'll need qualification. So praying alone, it's not like you're going to learn everything in a book just by praying. You may, but if it's a serious, complicated service, like, okay, let's give an example. Like, I want to write software and create a program that would do something amazing for the preaching. But I never studied, I never did any work in internet technology. So if I just chant good rounds, do you think then I could program computers? I don't think so. I mean, I don't want to say it couldn't happen, but the chances of it happening are less likely than winning a lottery. So you have to go to school and learn how to do it. Once you learn how to do it, you'll pray to Krishna to guide you to do it better and to do it with devotion. That's just common sense, right? So it's like there's limitations in what Krishna consciousness can give you. It's not going to make you omniscient. You're not going to know everything. And it's not necessarily going to, like people say, well, the holy name will solve all problems. In a sense, that's true. but it'll solve all spiritual problems. It doesn't necessarily solve all material problems. You're in the material world. Your body's going to get sick at some point, chanting or no chanting. Maybe it'll get less sick if you chant. But, that's a material body. It's under the laws of nature. Chanting, no chanting, it's going to get old. So these things, right? And so even some psychological problems, the Maha Mantra is not addressing those. Those are a material level. And there are many psychological problems it doesn't address. So some people say, well, if you chant Hare Krishna, that should all go away. Maybe for some people who don't have a lot of problems in the first place, or they're more spiritually oriented than psychologically oriented, or Krishna inspires you to see your problems and gives you intelligence to deal with them. That can happen, of course, and does happen, but it doesn't, but more serious problems, it's not like, the Hare Krishna mantra, you use it for liberation, you use it for developing inspiration, you use it for developing love of Krishna to overcome some psychological ill. It's not it's not on the bottle of what it cures. I had a problem with my hip when I was in Vrindavan. The doctor gave me medicine. It was a psychotropic drug. I was like, well, why are you giving me this drug? He said, well, it's also good for relaxing muscles. No, it's also good for nerve pain. It's a psychotropic drug that's good for nerve pain, So Hare Krishna is a mantra to help you get love of Krishna. It may also work for psychological problems, but it wasn't really designed for that purpose. And there's no direct statement in Shastra. Maybe chant Hare Krishna, all your problems will go away, some general. But it was never, there's no specific statement I've ever seen that chanting Hare Krishna will cure, more veterans from PTSD or something. Obviously it'll help, but it wasn't designed for that. He can do a lot of things, Krishna can cure you of so many things, but at least the mantra wasn't specifically designed for that. That's not why Lord Chaitanya came, to the divine dispensation of curing all the psychological problems of people in Kali Yuga. That wasn't the reason. Not that it wouldn't help, and it does help for sure. But there are limitations in what the holy name will do and won't do. And those limitations are relative to different people. Priya Madhva. Priya. Okay. Haven't seen you in a while. Priyam Vadha. Murali Dharam. From South India, no doubt. Question: how do we attain a place of stability when circumstances feel inescapable, or there's a feeling of being stuck in the sense of holding on because there's a storm? If you're not stable during the storm, you're going to get thrown off the boat. So I don't even think it's a question of how to. You don't have a choice. Either you do or you die. You know that saying, do or die? This is the do or die. I can tell you how I think about it. I think that when there's a situation and it's difficult, my mind automatically calculates what will be the results of my responses to this situation. So now I'm getting really upset. I'm ready to scream and do something that I'll later regret. I think immediately kick into action, like, okay, is this what I want to do? Is this really how I want to respond? I can justify my response because I could justify anything, but is that how I want to respond? And if I do respond, what's going to happen? What will be the results? So we have to think in those terms because don't you think it's weird the way we do things? Like, you just get upset and you just say something really nasty without even considering. Number one, Now I'm out of character of devotee. Number two, how's that going to affect the person I'm talking to? And number three, how's it affecting me? We just do it. So you want to reprogram yourself to not just do it, but to be more in touch with what it is you should do, what will be the consequences of not doing it, doing the wrong thing, like that. I don't know if that's too simplistic an answer, but I think my first answer summarizes it best. You don't have a choice, because if you are going to allow yourself to be pushed around by things going on around you, you will never get anywhere. We'll do a little skit, right? So you're trying to get in a supermarket and someone walks in front of you and knocks you over. Then you get up and then someone walks out and walks into you and pushes you back. And then you get up and someone comes in front of you and just sits there. And you can't, and with his hands out, you can't get around. He's in the doorway, So that's what life is like. So obviously, in those situations, if you don't know how to deal with it, then you'll never go anywhere. Now, let's say you got knocked over. You could sit there outside and scream at that person. Tell him you're going to take him to court and how stupid he is and he should look where he's going. But really, you just came to go shopping, right? You didn't come to have a big fight with somebody. So, we are now in the material world to get out. We're not in the material world to fight with people because they weren't nice to us, right? So you have to reorient your thinking. Am I in the material world to get upset about everything? Am I in the material world to tell people who do stupid things that they're stupid? Am I in the material world to tell people I don't like them? On and on and on. Is that why I'm here? Well, actually, the answer is yes. That's why we are here. But I was using it in a different context. At this point in our life, it's not why we're here any longer. And if that's why you're here, you're just going to stay here. And so if you stay here, you can keep doing that. But we have to think as devotees, that's not why I'm here anymore. I'm here to be the opposite. Correct? So that's where you'll get your stability, because it'll become survival. If you want to survive steadily on the path, Krishna says, you have to be samadukam sukham dhiram. Somrittatpaya kalpate. You will be eligible for liberation when you're equal, samadukam, in happiness and distress. So another way to look at it is when difficulties come, it's practice, like throwing a ball. Catch the ball, it's practice. So misery should come, here's another ball. Can you catch it? Can you get rid of it? Or are you going to miss it and the ball is going to hit you in the head and knock you out? So it's practice, basically. Samadukam sukham dhiram. Be equal and sober in happiness and distress. Then you're qualified. You're in the position where you can be liberated. But if you're not doing that, as I've often said, yo-yos don't go back to Godhead because they go up and down. So don't be a yo-yo. We'll rephrase your question, how not to be a yo-yo. Live a life of moderation, be in the middle. You can be upset, naturally you will be, but don't. But respond as a devotee. Do you ever notice how you respond just like everybody else when you're upset? That's embarrassing, isn't it? Like we have the Hare Krishna movement and we're devotees and we're sadhus and yogis. And we get up in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. What do you do? And then we act like all the people who don't get up in the morning and chant Hare Krishna. So that makes us kind of worse than them, isn't it? Like you're at the gym working out 2 hours a day and I can beat you up and I just eat potatoes on the couch. That's kind of embarrassing. Potato chips on the couch all day, watching Netflix. And I beat you up. Donald Trump said when he was campaigning, he said, Joe Biden is such a loser if he beats me. Like, what does that mean I am? He said, I can't imagine being beaten by him and he lost. Yeah, what does it mean you are? It means you're worse than him. Okay, I hope that answers your question. If not, if I didn't answer anyone's question thoroughly, you can just keep asking. Ajinkya, the best friend of Mayuresh, the dangerous duo, is back in action. They're dangerous for Maya. Don't get near them. Don't get near these two guys if you like Maya, because they'll blow her away. It is said that chanting, praying for material things is an offense, or for praying for something material is an offense. Ideally, we should chant, pray to attain love of Godhead. But if someone is praying, chanting to get a good spouse, is it not material or right? Well, I would rephrase that question. We'll stop right there. Don't take another step. How about if I rephrase your question? I'm gonna rephrase it just to shock you a little, jink you a little bit, just to jink you up a bit. Ideally, we should chant, pray to attain love of God. But someone is praying, chanting to get a good wife, spouse. Is it not material? Okay, I'm going to rephrase that. Ideally, we should chant and pray to attain love of God. But if someone wants a wife or a spouse, if someone wants a good spouse, is that not material? It's the same. It's exactly the same question, right? I'd like to get married. Is that material? I want to get married, or I'm praying to Krishna for a good wife. Maybe, Jinky, you could pray for a bad wife. You take Varnaprast earlier. Get out of household life faster. That used to be the 70s philosophy, you know. I don't like you, you don't like me, let's get married. We'll renounce faster. Welcome to the Hare Krishna movement. We're not crazy, we just talk like crazy people. That's all. Hare Krishna. Cool. So the question I have for you to answer this question is, if someone is praying to get a good wife, is that not material? It depends what you do when you get the wife. Then we'll know if it's material or not. Beforehand, we don't know, because I don't know what you're thinking you're going to do with her. If you say, well, I want to do puja together, I want to preach together, or raise Krishna conscious children together. Well, that doesn't sound material to me. Now, inherent in this question is another problem. I'm glad you asked it, because this is interesting. Well, you may not think it's interesting, but I will make it interesting for you. What Ajinkya is saying, I'm going to rephrase your question, Ajinkya. Ideally, we should chant and pray to love of Godhead. But if someone by nature needs to be married, is it not material to pray for a good wife? Or let's just say, but if someone needs to get married, is it not material? Well, if someone needs to get married, do you have a choice of not getting married? If you need to, you don't. Right? So that's my point. Is it Maya? Prabhu, I'm really hungry. I need to eat something. Is it okay if I go in the house and look for something to eat? No, that'd be material, Prabhu. That would be Maya, because you want something to eat, right? You mean you need something to eat? You know, haven't you read about the Goswamis? All they had every other day was a little buttermilk. Like, that is so Maya, Prabhu. Can't believe you actually want something to eat. So just change the food with wife or husband, and it's as ridiculous. I can't believe you want to get married. Like, what is wrong with you? You know my joke? The thing is, it's not, there's nothing wrong with the people who want to get married. There's something wrong with the people who don't want to get married. That's a joke, Brajaras. Don't worry. You're fine. But you know what I'm saying? The people who don't want to get married are in the minority. So if normal means majority and crazy means minority, all the brahmacharis are damn crazy because they're all abnormal because they don't want to get married. And because getting married is like, yeah, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. It comes with the body, you know. So you get a body that doesn't want to eat, sleep, mate, and defend, you're liberated, you know. And that's the goal. So, Ajinkya, the goal is give up eating, sleeping, mating, defending. If you can get to the goal as a brahmachari, go for it. If you can get to the goal as only as a grihasta, go for it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, it's a different vehicle. Maybe it doesn't drive as fast, but it's not how you start, it's how you end. And some of those brahmacharis in those fast cars crash them. And then they're crashed on the side of the road, and you in your slow car, put, comes up and passes them up. You and your wife are like, hey, Das Brahmachari, sorry to see you crash, put. So, you know, so it's all about what do you do when you get there. So, but my point is, if it's your nature, it cannot not be your nature. So it's not even, there's not even like, should I, shouldn't I, is it good or bad? You know, so Krishna can, you know, I want to use Grihastha ashram for seva. I want to do this business. I think I can make a lot of money. I need a stable family to be able to do it. I need a good wife. I need a good prasadam, clean house. I want to have kids. And we're going to make zillions of rupees for you and for service and build hundreds of temples and etc. So your whole focus is on making money to build temples. So like getting married, what's like, that's no big thing. That's just like normal. And what I often say, which I think is so funny to say, because you shouldn't have to say it. If I need to be married, that's just, it's just a reality. That's it. It's not like you have to accept it or reject it, because you can't, because it just is. Should I, shouldn't I? As soon as you say, should I, that means you should. So just accept it. Because if you're brahmachari, you wouldn't say, should I? Only those who need to get married say, should I? And if that's what you say, should I, and you're thinking, yeah, that would be good, then, you know, then if that should is pretty strong, and like you're always thinking about it, then it means you should. And if you can't, and if you're fighting it off and you can't, that means you should. There's nothing you can do about it. It just is. Even maybe you wish you didn't have to, but it is. It's just reality. So as I said before, that's not the problem. The problem is, what do you do? Is it okay if I pray to Krishna for a lot of money? Yeah, pray for a lot of money. It's not a problem. The problem is, what are you praying for the money for? Oh, Prabhu, I want to finish the Mayapur project. Yeah, pray. Do 16 rounds of, my dear Lord Krishna, please send $60 million. I do. Get your beads out. You know, at least 108 beads, please send $60 million to Mayapur project, or whatever they need. Yeah. Inspire me. You know, maybe I'll sit next to Burla on my next flight or something, tell him about Mayapur. Or how much you need? They go, 60 million. Go, you pull out a check and give it to you. Who knows what'll happen? That's fine. So the answer to your question is, depends what you do when you get it. And but Ajinkya, if you're really advanced, then you can pray for a woman who will drive you crazy. She'll drive you right out of the material world. You'll never want to take birth again. No, actually, we used to think that way as young devotees. I don't recommend that, because you know what'll happen? You want to get married again. That's what'll happen. It won't, you know, it's like if you ate halava and I think, let's put salt in the halava, then the brahmacharis will, I won't eat any halava, right? Yeah, but at midnight they'll get up and they'll be in the kitchen cooking halava because they want some halava, right? Isn't it? because you always put salt in the halava so they wouldn't overeat. Let's put salt in the kheer, then these brahmacharis won't eat it. Yeah. They'll be going to the sweet shop to find kheer during Bhagavatam class. So, you can't be that renounced until you are that renounced. Yeah, that's another one of my most profound statements I've ever said. You can't be that renounced until you're that renounced. What a statement. Did you get it, Mayuresh? You can't be this renounced until you're this renounced, which means you can't be this renounced if you're this renounced. It's like there's a gap there. It doesn't work. You can fake it, but boom, just like a ball with a little leak in it, you're going to come back here. Right? You'll always come back because that's who you are. So live according to who you are. And then do it for Krishna. What is the difficulty? What is your problem? Samasyane. Why are you making problems out of nothing? Isn't it? You become a devotee and we start making problems. This verse and that verse. And I heard in this class, but he said that and she said that and he did this and he, it's like, take me to the mental hospital. My mind is exploding. It's not that difficult. Whenever you can't figure something out, simplify it to its common denominator, because usually answers are really simple. But if someone is praying, chanting for a good wife, good spouse, my answer, Ajinkya, is this. If I were a woman, I would be praying 24/7 for a good husband because there are hardly any left. So definitely if you're a woman, you have my, you can do puja to every god in the universe to find a good husband because they're not that easy to find. Because because eventually it is favorable to Krishna consciousness. Eventually it is meant to come to the level of pure bhakti by discharging bhakti being grihastha. Could you please put some light? Yeah, you're right. You answered your question. That's exactly what is termed as material desire according to the scriptures. No, it's not material desire if it's a desire for Krishna, even though it's material. Now, you may think, okay, I don't want to ask Krishna for a good husband and wife. If Krishna wants me to have a good husband and wife, if it's in the stars, whatever, I'll take it. So that's also a surrendered way. But I can say from experience that your life is more difficult. Your Krishna consciousness can be impeded if there's too much friction in the home life. It's just an unnecessary disturbance for the mind. And it makes it harder. Which is, as I said, in some cases, it has helped people because it's like, okay, Krishna, if I have to take birth again, could I be born a sannyasi with a danda? I don't want to go through this again. No. So, it can have that effect on you. And they'll be dying, thinking of a sannyasi, and they'll come out in their next birth with a danda. Yeah. So that could happen, right? But my experience is more the opposite, that if it's really good, it's like the halava is so good, and I've been eating halava for 50 years. I'm kind of over it. Like, I don't need any more halava. I've had enough. But if you've been eating 50 years of halava with salt, then you're like 94 and someone gives you halava with sugar, you eat the whole bucket, right? Then you become the lusty old man at 94. That's better. You get some good halava and eat it throughout your life. Have you ever seen me eat halava? It's extremely rare. You should have seen me when I was 20. I could eat a bucket of it. And it's only because I could eat a bucket of it that now I don't need it. It's like halava. It's like whatever. I had so much halava in my life, I don't need more. So that's what grihastha's life is supposed to do. It's not supposed to be halava with salt. It's supposed to be good halava that you gradually are fulfilled with. So you just kind of naturally go, I don't really need any more halava. I'm okay. Does that make sense? So the salty halava, it works on some people, but not on everybody. It is not the general process of renunciation. Yeah. I mean, you could try it if you like, if you want to get married, Ajinkya. Look for a woman for which you have exactly no attraction and no compatibility and get married. You'll be one renounced grihasta and one miserable guy at the same time. That's for sure. Hare Krishna. Okay, so party's over. Just getting warmed up here. Saved by the bell. I would have gone another hour if we weren't going to chant japa. So I like this arrangement. The gods of japa come on and say, class is over. Okay, you can turn us off.